Hello everyone, my name is Robin Doaty. On October 24th, 2021 at 8:43 a.m. It was a Sunday morning, beautiful day. We got a knock at our door. I looked out of the window and I saw that there were state troopers on the porch, and I was like, well, we don't have music on. Why did the neighbors call, the police on us? And then it kind of hit me. I got this sinking feeling, and I opened the door and I said, what happened to my child? What's wrong? What happened? I knew it was my son because he had went on a day trip. He lived in Melbourne, Florida, and he traveled with 3 other friends to St. Augustine, Florida. And the last text that he sent us was a picture of himself, and he was saying that it was a great place to visit and he really liked it. The state trooper, one of them, looked at me and said, I'm looking for Robin Doaty. I said, I'm Robin Doaty, but wait a minute. Let me get my husband down here before you tell me anything. And so I screened for my husband. I invited them in, and they proceeded to tell us that, they were traveling from a day trip home, and they were hit by a wrong way drunk driver. And my son did not survive his injuries. And my husband and my daughter, they instantly, they started crying, grieving. They were very upset, visibly upset. I was in shock, and I was busy comforting them and trying to get more information from the state troopers, because I didn't believe that it was my son. And I was like, how do you know it's him? Like, I didn't ID his body. How do you know that that's him? And the officer, he said, well, ma'am, he had his ID in his wallet. I said, well, he's always losing his wallet, which he was. He would lose his wallets, his phones. And so I kind of held on to that for a long time. I just refused to believe that he died. Once we did get his body from Florida and identified him, it kind of like started sinking in. And that was weeks later. Also, another person was killed in the crash. It was his coworker and really good friend. And it was very sad, very tragic. It still hurts us to this day. My husband, he tends to throw himself into projects. All of my neighbors think I'm the luckiest woman in the world because my husband's always building things and fixing things, but really that's his way of dealing with the grief. Mainly my days are spent here in the house with my 2 fur babies, Bella and Bo. I do a lot of gardening and walking and just little things around the house. But I decided that I wanted to work with Mothers Against Drunk Drivers so I could spare someone else this pain. Jerome was a brilliant genius. He worked for Raytheon Company. He was 30 years old, and he wrote programs for Microsoft, for Apple, and many other companies. He also fought the war on cyber terrorism, and he was just great at his job. He headed every project at the headquarters there in Florida. And it really hurts because he was about to transfer to Leesville, and he would have been closer to us. And he was at the precipice of finding a wife and having children. That person stole all of those dreams away from us. We'll never, ever have grandkids from Jerome, and I won't get to dance with him at his wedding. I won't get to harass him and steal the grandkids away. All of those things that I dreamed about, it was taken away from us. And so my purpose is to help someone not have to go through what we are now going through. And I really want to urge anyone and everyone who thinks that it's okay if you drink and then get in your car and drive. Because while you may have not had an accident or gotten pulled over by the police, if you keep doing that, the probability of that happening is really high. And it's really not worth the risk of injuring yourself or fatally injuring someone else or maiming someone to where their whole lives have to change. It's not worth it when you can Uber, you can ride share, you can call a friend to come and pick you up. We have so many options today that drinking and driving should not even be a part of our culture here in America. We have all these freedoms, we have all these choices. So why not choose life? Why not choose the safety for others? And even if you can't find it in yourself to think about other people, think about your family members at home, waiting for you to come home safe and in one piece. Think about the devastation that you could face if you actually did maim or kill someone, having to live with that, the consequences of spending your time in jail. My son should still be here. He should still be here, just bringing the joy and the light that he always did, for everyone, not just us, his family, but for all of his friends. They are totally devastated as well. And he was the one who uplifted and encouraged everyone. He was the one who said, hey, I'm not only going to encourage you with words, I'm going to show up. That's just how wonderful he was. And now he's no longer here. And there are many, many stories like mine, which is quite unfortunate. But if I could tell my story and help someone else, I'll tell it a million times.